Welcome to the Mindset Forge Podcast Season 3. I'm Barton Bryan, your host, excited to introduce you to another athlete, someone who has a champion's mindset around showing up for the big moments of his life so that you can take some of those nuggets and implement them in your own life. I don't care if you're an athlete or not. This is stuff that you can use to be better at showing up for the big moments that matter most to you. I believe that athletes, performing artists, understand things a little bit differently. They can give us nuggets, information that we can use to be better. That's what I want for you guys listening, and that's absolutely what I'm learning from these interviews. Today is no exception. I've got a professional bodybuilder, Patrick Martin. He got his pro card back in 2019 at the NPC Nationals and has been competing on the pro level and now moving to the classic physique category. He's a 6'2", 245-pound guy, so he's a big bodybuilder. We go into all the details of how he eats, training, rest, recovery, and he's being coached by one of the great bodybuilders of all time, Flex Wheeler. I'm a fan of the sport of bodybuilding, so this was a fun one for me, asking lots of questions, hearing his top 5 bodybuilders of all time, and of course, I had to ask him about steroids, what his thoughts were, and he pulled no punches on with his response. So without further ado, enjoy this interview with Patrick Martin. Patrick, so good to have you here. We are actually in a gym right now. We just had the chance to work out together. He put me through a push-pull workout, upper body focus. Here we are, a little bit sweaty, a little bit stinky, sitting down to do this podcast in a posing room at the gym here in El Paso, Texas. So how you doing, Patrick?
I'm good, man. Blessed to be here. I'm thankful for the opportunity, man.
I love it, man. Thanks for being here, too. This is really a dream come true. I love interviewing bodybuilders. It's a passion of mine. So let's jump right in. You are a welder. By day, you're a welder and obviously a bodybuilder in the evening. Talk about the similarities and some of the things that you see in your day work versus in bodybuilding.
Man, welding is like a very hands-on, physically demanding, like work your ass off kind of trade, you know. So my work ethic came from my day-to-day job. It helped my work ethic in the gym also because I come from such a rigorous background. My parents were hard. We grew up on a farm, like basic work your ass off kind of stuff. So for me, developing my work ethic in the gym, knowing that my training had to be to a certain standard, it was just a transition from welder by day, bodybuilder by night, blue collar bodybuilder, if that's what you want to say. It was perfect.
Yeah, so the work ethic was there from an early age. You're talking about your parents, being on the farm.
Yeah.
I heard a strength and conditioning coach talk about farm strength versus city strength.
Oh,
and like kids
huge.
that just like do manual labor day in and day out versus kids that like get strong in the gym.
Huge difference.
Talk about that a little bit. Just as a kid, just remembering kind of growing up, getting strong. Did you play sports too growing up?
Yeah, we did football, baseball, but mainly farm work, man. My dad, we had 36 cow. We pushed round bales of hay. We stacked lumber. We chopped wood. We cut down trees. We done everything in order to help my parents maintain our family. So my work ethic was always spot on. So when I stepped into the gym, this was easy.
I find it ironic, too, that you look around at like gym culture, not even gym, but just fitness culture. People are flipping tires. People are throwing sand bells. They're simulating
exactly
manual labor.
That's right.
Like what everyone was doing back, back in the day in the rural farmland and stuff like that. So it's almost kind of people are trying to get back to this strong type of mindset.
A more natural strength. Like you said, there's this huge difference in gym strong and farm strong. My brother, he's a big dude. He's shorter, of course, but he's in like the 280-pound body weight range, and he didn't start the gym until very, very late in his life, but he was always crazy strong, and that's just from how we worked as kids.
Yeah, and to be clear, Patrick is 6'2" as a bodybuilder, and so as me being 6'4", I really respect the fact that he's tall, he's got long arms, long legs. And how much do you weigh right now?
244.5.
Yeah, and not a lot of body fat. Man is able to carry a lot of muscle and move a lot of weight around in the gym. You've become an IFBB pro in the men's physique division. So talk a little bit about that division specifically, and then what you're gearing to go towards with Classic Physique next.
My introduction to bodybuilding and men's physique was perfect, but I always had that advantage where I could hold on to very large amounts of muscle mass. So I love the introduction to bodybuilding, and I take nothing from men's physique. It's a great division, but I just kind of outgrew the division, you know. So I knew my next step had to be Classic. I knew it would.
And just for a little clarity on bodybuilding, you've got the Open, which is kind of the big, really massive 280, 300-pound guys that tend to be shorter and really, really thick. And then you've got Classic Physique, which is really trying to play off that kind of Arnold Schwarzenegger, 1970 to like 1985.
Golden era bodybuilding.
Golden era. Frank Zane, a lot of those classic physiques that we
aesthetically pleasing bodies.
Right. And then the board shorts, which is kind of the way to define the physique division.
The physique guys have gotten so much bigger, over the years. They get bigger and bigger each year. And, but for us taller men in the division, I think every tall man in physique, his aspiration is to move to Classic. There should be. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's just not a division for super tall people. I mean, it is for a medium tall person that can hold on to his muscle mass, but that slim body look, the bigger you get, I mean, you have to lean toward getting out of that division sooner or later.
Patrick went right into his first pro qualifier in 2019 Miami and won it.
Right.
So first time he has the opportunity to get his pro card in physique. He absolutely wins his division and wins the whole show, gets best overall. So you excelled in that division, but now you've got aspirations to kind of take that next step.
Exactly. And just in my men's physique, once I started in the NPC shows, it was first place. And in the pros, I had a 9th, I had a 12th, prejudging 6th place against big name pro bodybuilders. I still knew that physique was not my division. Yeah. I knew it wasn't. And I loved it, but for me, there's always this push to do better, do more, drive harder, be bigger, be stronger each year. So, it's time to move on.
And you were getting feedback that your back was getting
my feedback
maybe too big for
my
critique,
physique, man. Yeah. I'm too wide. I looked so indifferent. I had a lat development comment one time by a judge, and we don't get the memo. You want us to be bigger one year, smaller the next year, tighter this year, drier that year, more conditioning. Like, what do you want from us?
Yeah. So talk about, and kind of going back to my first question, is talk about the difference between training for physique and now like upping your game and training for Classic Physique.
I noticed as a physique competitor, I would just train. I didn't give my body enough time to develop. Overtraining is a real thing. I stayed in that lean realm for so long. I didn't develop muscle bellies. I didn't develop thickness. I didn't develop fullness. I had enough genetically, but I needed to take it to that next level. I needed a day of rest for every day of training, basically. I needed to eat more food. I needed to rest more. So I had more recovery time. So I could develop a more full, well-rounded physique. And of course, legs, you got to train. And I got baby legs, so I had to train twice a week, The difference is exponential. There's nothing the same in those two ways of training at all.
You're a gifted athlete and you've got a lot of size. It seems like probably you could get away with some of that overtraining because you still had, the physique and all that and still looked really good on stage. But what you're realizing is that with recovery, with days off, with, not worrying about low body fat, you're able to really build those muscle bellies and take it to that next level.
That's right. And my coach and I, we agreed, Flex Wheeler, big shout out to Flex. We agreed that why do we have to bring ourselves down to meet a criteria? We've trained our asses off in the off season. We've gained so much muscle. I've been up to 256 pounds, and I have to come down to 229 to fit into a category? Come on, man.
First of all, big shout out to Flex Wheeler too, who I consider probably one of the greatest bodybuilders, my top 5 of all time, Flex Wheeler. So awesome that you're training with him. So think about MMA. I just interviewed a guy who coaches MMA fighters. Like, they have to drop so much weight to fight, it's like at some point you just don't have the energy and the power anymore.
It takes a lot from you.
So you're going from 250 plus down to 229.
229, lower 230s, man, stage weight. I mean, I've been 240 on stage before, also in training under Flex. And my prior coach, Zach Savoy, he was an awesome trainer also. You lose so much, you know, it's like, why do you work that hard? I mean, we're training 6 days a week, 5 days a week, eating enormous amounts of fucking food. Why do we have to take away from that? Why not go to a division where we could use that food, that fullness? My last prep, I'm 2 weeks out, still in a calorie surplus. Like, I have didn't cut food. My metabolism kicked in even more. So we're feeding more, eating more, drinking water. I mean, we've done things two totally different ways. And a lot of physique guys coming into a show, man, they're starving. They stop eating. They don't drink a lot of water because they're trying to tighten up. They're trying to get that super tight, super lean look. But a classic physique, man, it's not the same. They continue to eat. They continue to train. They continue to do these things with the proper recovery, and they get on stage fuller, bigger, and tighter.
Yeah. It really allows you to be a better athlete.
Absolutely.
As a bodybuilder.
Absolutely, man. Just the training, the difference in the training, the split, the food, the water, and the simplicity of gaining muscle. It's not as complex as people would like to think, you know?
Let's talk about that. Talk about a week, generally a week. You know, I know that obviously your Flex is going to give you different programming throughout the course of your improvements, even where you're building muscle and such. But give me an average week right now for you. Like, how much are you training? What's your recovery look like? Nutrition, that kind of stuff. Just give us just an overview.
Depending upon what my schedule is, I'm a teacher, so I teach welding now. And, you know, sometimes I have evening stuff I have to do with my daughter, or morning stuff that I have to do with a client, because I also train people. I try to keep my training split as consistent as possible. I either train very early in the morning or after work, 4:30 afternoonish. I don't usually start on chest like everybody else. I want to start on something weaker that I want to bring up, like a muscle group that I really want to focus on. So I'll start Mondays, sometimes with delts or delts with biceps or something to where, like I said, it's a muscle group that I really need to bring up, or I need it to look better midweek, legs, and then I can switch out to chest later in the week, Food-wise, the calorie surplus, Flex is notorious for feeding you a lot of food, and he'll put it on you. He knows the benefit, and he knows better my metabolism and how my body reacts to the carbohydrates, to the proteins. His protocol for training is very simple. His movements are very simple, and his food is very simple. We don't eat tons of spinach and asparagus. I mean, we'll throw a few veggies in here and there, but we're red meat and rice primarily throughout our entire prep, and it works. It works.
I've heard that about Flex. He loves to prescribe red meat.
He will push it. And back in the day, that's what they done.
Yeah.
You didn't see him eating tilapia. They didn't eat tilapia. Now everybody eats fucking tilapia. They didn't eat tilapia.
It's the new bodybuilding
That's right.
food, right?
They didn't eat tilapia. I mean, there's nutritional value, but they weren't small 180-pound guys either.
Right.
I mean, it's red meat, yeah. Red meat, rice, red meat, potatoes, red meat, rice. I mean, it's simple, but I found to becoming a more in this classic physique thing, the simplicity of the food and the training, my physique has grown well past my men's physique days. Well past.
What I love about everything you just said there is the word simple.
Simple.
I just see people in the gym doing way too much.
Way too.
All these complicated things, and overtraining, not resting. They're in there 7 days a week, and they're not growing.
You don't have to go to the gym 7 days a week. You don't have to do all these crazy ass, super complex movements. My protocol with him is so simple, man. He keeps to the basic, old school ways. The food is simple. The training is simple. The rest is consistent. It's worked for so many years. Mm-hmm. Why did our generation, with this science and all this crazy shit that we use, we messed it up?
Yeah.
It works for some of us, and it does not work for all.
To be fair, I think there's some people who are going to do better with tilapia or chicken
course.
or even a vegetarian diet. I mean, there's bodybuilders out there that are vegan and all that kind of stuff. And that's cool. And I think there's a place for that too. But I think what you're saying is if your body responds to red meat and rice and potatoes, and like, why stray
if it
away
ain't
from
broke,
that?
don't
Don't
fix
fix it. Because the 1990s bodybuilding, that is the epitome, in my opinion, the best generation.
Any bodybuilder from that era
Yeah.
to the tightest, biggest, best bodybuilder today.
Right.
You'll see enormous differences in conditioning, in roundness, in fullness, in size, everything. It was that era formed what we are today now as bodybuilders.
Yeah.
And it was the most simple. And I love today's bodybuilders. I ain't hating on nobody. But you cannot compare one bodybuilder from today to the level of conditioning or the competition level of those guys from back in the day.
1996, you look at top 8 on the Olympia stage.
Animals.
And,
Animals,
you
man.
put anybody from this generation in that top 8 and they're getting...
Animals.
Yeah, it's not even close.
That Ronnie Coleman interview, I'll never forget it. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
He told him, hey, compare somebody. They wouldn't last us. They couldn't, on their best day and on my worst day, they couldn't stand up against them. They couldn't. Yeah. But like you said, man, it's the simplicity of things.
And he was a beast. That guy could lift the entire gym.
Everything.
Before we move on, I ask this question. Give me your top 5 bodybuilders of all time. Top 5.
Okay, in no order. No order.
No order.
To Flex, Ronnie, Frank, Dorian, and Jay.
Frank
Zane.
Frank Zane. All right. That's nice. Yeah, dude.
He's the most aesthetic person that ever walked the face of this earth.
Yeah. I mean, talk about somebody who changed. Arnold changed bodybuilding forever, right? But then Frank Zane's physique, I think, changed bodybuilding in a new way. And it still resonates today. Right. There's literally a division that was based on the fact that people loved Frank Zane's physique so much that now there's classic physique.
Classic
I really
physique
feel like
would not be classic physique without Frank Zane.
He
started the beauty in posing, the beauty in presenting your body.
Yeah.
The aesthetic looks. Stop wanting to be so big. Work on what you got. Critique and perfect what you have. Keep working on that each year until you present the perfect package. You don't have to be big as the guy standing next to you, but if you present yourself better, you can bring a better look than he can. It's simple. And he done it. For him, for me, his ways and, man, just the way he carried himself on stage was crazy.
Yeah.
The best of all time, hands down.
That's amazing. Yeah, I haven't heard very many people say that, so that's really cool. And I do agree. I think it's hard to say top 5 because somewhere in there you got to put Arnold out there because he really transformed bodybuilding in the 70s. But
ask Sadiq why he chose Frank Zane to help him pose. He'll say probably exactly what I just said.
Yeah.
I'm sure of it. And Sadiq was one of my first prep coaches.
Okay.
And, man, when I seen him working with Frank, it was like a dream come true,
Yeah.
And they're the best, man.
Okay, so first national show when you won your pro card. Take us back to Miami in 2019. This is pre-COVID. This is before everything was crazy, right? You win the whole damn thing, right? Talk about the final pose down, just your mindset in that moment. Paint that picture of what's going on.
That prep was insane. I mean, I'd worked so hard. It was our goal to go knock it out in one try. He said, you got the potential. You got the muscle. We get your posing on point. Your conditioning, you'll go knock it out the ballpark. At the time, I was a supervisor for a pipeline company, working 13 hours a day, eating meals on the right of way, working, getting home at 10:30 at night, going to the gym till 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. Working more hours than I've ever worked in my life, training like crazy at a Planet Fitness in Roswell, New Mexico. And I brought the best package to the stage that I've ever presented, ever. When I got to the top 5, or just first call-outs, top 6, I knew that I had put in enough work to take my pro card. I knew I did. In my mind, in my heart, I had no doubt that I was going to win that. No doubt in my mind that I did not think I was going to lose at all. I went into the show knowing I was going to win. I just knew. There was no doubt. I had worked so hard, man. The days I'd be up at 4 o'clock in the morning doing fasted before work and go work in the sun, 110 degrees all day, and go train at 1 o'clock in the morning. If there was another man working that hard, he deserved to win.
Yeah.
I knew it.
You were. I mean, the word I would use is almost like possessed.
Oh, dude, it was a part of me. I wouldn't even go home when I got off work. I mean, it'd be, like I said, 1 o'clock, and I got to go to the gym. I got to go to the gym.
And you're not going to this like bodybuilding mecca. You're going to Planet Fitness.
The basic of the most
the purple gym.
The purple gym.
And they loved you, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. I mean, I built a great relationship with those people because they seen the work ethic. They knew what I was sacrificing from day to day. They knew what I'd been doing for the last 16 weeks. So, I mean, they showed me so much support and so much love. And that helps drive a man in those times. I had days where my motivation was down, where I said, man, am I really going to do this? Am I really going to go to Florida and compete against these other guys that are NPC top 5, top 1, 2, and 3 people? Do I really want to work this hard for another 4 weeks? And I had to push through it. Yeah. It was crazy, man.
But I think that gives you like a certain gravitas. You walk in there and you put in that much work and you've earned every ounce of confidence that you show up and you're posing, all that kind of stuff, and people feel it.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah. Backstage pumping up. I can remember, and it was a great lineup. We had a few guys there. I mean, it was a huge class for one. The lineup was amazing. We had some really hard-hitting competitors there. When they seen me and the level of conditioning I'd brought to the stage, they knew. We all knew. Once you get backstage and you start checking each other out, you know who's gonna win. You know?
It reminds me of like, I think, 90s bodybuilding, like Flex and some of them have talked about like seeing Dorian backstage and how big his back was, and they're just like, well, maybe I'll get second.
You have to be prepared for that. Yeah, you don't know what's gonna happen.
And if you're looking around and nobody has nobody looks bigger than you, then you're the one then you realize, wow, I'm the one that everyone's
looking at. Yeah. But in a humble way. I mean, it's not crazy. Yeah. It's humble. I mean, and I gave all my competitors that day, I gave them mad respect. I told everybody I seen, man, you look good. You look really good. And that's me dialing myself down. But I knew. In my head, I knew. I just knew.
Yeah. I'll post a YouTube video of an interview that you do after that show. Your shirt's off, and you've got like a 27 pack. And you're so lean and so ripped and so big, too. I mean, it's really impressive. But you're right. You're probably the biggest a physique bodybuilder can get.
Yeah, it was time. And that show, I mean, I've always been able to bring a solid back and conditioning. My conditioning is always really on point. But the back I brought to that show was insane. Mm-hmm. Insane. The size, the fullness, the width, the density. I brought a classic physique back to the stage. Mm-hmm. I did. In every way, in every sense of the word. So, and I'm sure that was one of my advantages, too.
So we talked about kind of weekly working out, kind of how you're thinking about it. Talk about meals. I know you're working with Flex. Talk about nutrition. Talk about cheat meals. Talk about what you and Flex were working with.
The very first thing was he brought this enormous amount of simplicity, the entire way I perceived bodybuilding. So we took things very basic on our training, back to the fundamentals. Very basic on our food, back to the fundamentals. Our vitamins. I've seen vitamin protocols with 30 different things in the vitamin protocol. With Flex, we use apple cider and vitamin C. Like, basic, simple stuff, man. You don't take a bunch of omega-3s and multivitamins and all this crazy shit. We get our vitamins and our nutrients from the food that we eat. Throughout the week, I'd be scared to tell him I felt good during the week. Like, deathly afraid. Because if I told him I felt good, he probably added 2 more ounces of food, either protein or carbs. Because he'd ask me every check-in, how you feel today? And I was like, man, I feel pretty good. All right. We're going to add 2 more ounces of rice. So then I had a special occasion coming up, and I asked him about cheat meals. And we had an hour conversation about cheat meals. He said, there's no such thing as a cheat meal. It's a reward. Why are you cheating if you're going for a prize? Let your trophy be the prize. Enjoy yourself the night of, after you've competed, after you gave everything you can give. Then reward yourself. It's not a cheat, it's a reward. Why are we having rewards for something we hadn't even accomplished yet? So let's wait, see the outcome of the show. We win, we reward ourselves with food. We go back to the lab, we redo this thing, we start fresh, we go all over again. But there is no such thing as a cheat meal. It put it in perspective for me, and I look at some of these guys getting, burgers and fries once or twice a week. What are you in this sport to do, Are you here to win, or are you here to eat burgers and fries all 18 weeks, 16 weeks, 20 weeks of prep? And clients that ask for cheat meals, and they've been training for 4 weeks. Can I have a burger this week? Why? What have you done?
What have you accomplished?
What have you accomplished in 6 weeks that you want a cheat meal, Just because you see Joe Blow doing it and this other bodybuilder, stop following these other people. For one, you hired a coach for a reason. Sometimes you want to doubt their abilities, but you got to trust. They have more experience than you. I mean, I'm being coached by one of the best bodybuilders in the world in his prime. Why wouldn't I listen to his advice? Yeah. It's simple. It's simple. Do what you're told,
Yeah, and just a champion's mindset in that way too. It's like you haven't earned anything until you earn your trophy.
That's it.
After that, go have your fun.
Let's go have fun.
And then, maybe take Monday off and Tuesday morning back to the lab.
Let's go back to the lab. Let's start it over again. That's the only way to progress. I feel like that attitude, like you said, a champion's mindset. It's not if we win, it's when we win. We go into everything expecting to win. We tell ourselves before we get on the stage, there is a very high possibility. Excuse me. I'm taking first place today. You don't prep for 16, 18, 20 weeks to show up on the day of and say, I don't know if I'm going to win this show. That's not a champion's mindset. You have to tell yourself, I'm going to win.
And then you got to do the work.
You got to do the work. You tell yourself that, you put in the work. If you put in enough work, your victory, like I said when I went to Nationals, your victory will be undeniable. When they see you, it'll be undeniable. When the judges see you, they know you come to do. You're going to win. You came there. You accomplished. You done what you came to do. They know. When they see you, they know. They know who's been working. They know who's been practicing their posing. They know who's been eating their food. They know. I mean, like you said, it's a champion's mindset.
I love it. So go back to your childhood. Like, think about some of the struggles you went through as a kid and just, that kind of set you up to be who you are today. Because I don't think everyone just has the work ethic, has that mentality of a champion. Literally, from the moment you started competing in the men's physique category, you just won show after show after show. But that only comes from a kind of a champion's mindset that was maybe, created early on.
Definitely.
Take us back to the beginning.
My mom was so encouraging. I mean, her expectations of my brother and sister, they were always super high. But she was very, very encouraging. Like, always, I'm proud of you. Always, you've done a good job. If we needed to do better, she'd tell us, get your shit together. You need to do better. But her mindset in us was just raising us in this enormous amount of positivity and responsibility. So she was a very hard-working woman herself. So that's all we seen. We didn't see lazy parents. We didn't see alcoholic parents. I mean, we seen two hard-working, non-stop, getting it every day. I'm proud of you parents. We had a small 3 kids, mom, dad, grandma, aunt, 80-acre farm. If we didn't take care of it, we didn't eat. It was our responsibility to put food on that table every single day. We got up most mornings before the school bus got to our house around 6 o'clock. Up when my dad was awake, feeding cows, watering horses, picking stuff out of the garden, chopping wood in the evening, getting stuff ready so my mom and my dad would have to do less when they got home because they were working all day. And my dad also up at 5 o'clock in the morning working his ass off. My mom off work, making sure homework was done, kids were bathed, everybody had food, everybody was ready for the next day. I mean, that champion mindset was created back then. The work ethic was created back then. When I got to the gym and seen, oh, they're just moving weight around. Okay. I didn't know the nutrition part of it, and I didn't know the whole mechanics and, lifting properly or whatever, but I had the same amount of work ethic as anybody else in this gym that had been training for years. So it was easy for me. The gym is the easiest part for me. And the food is a bonus. The food just says, I'll look even better if I eat this food today. And that's the goal. So why not eat that food? It's that easy. It just helps you become a better you.
As a parent myself, and you've got a couple kids, it's what you do, not what you say.
That's right.
Right? You're watching your mom and dad work their tails off, sun up to sundown, literally bringing food. You guys are growing the food. You've got animals out there. That's how you eat, all that kind of stuff. So you're just immersed in hard work.
Yep.
And the mindset around hard work creates champions. So, there's no doubt to my mind that is a huge part of why you are who you are today. What's next for you? Looking ahead in 2022.
We got a few things in mind. We don't want to disclose too much. We're going to put together the right package. We're definitely working on bringing legs up. We're going to add some more thickness to the back. We're going to bring up biceps, tris, and shoulders. We're going to bring up presentation. We're going to let my body tell me when it's time for me to get back on stage. We're not going to set a definite date. We know a couple big tier 1 shows that we want to do. I don't want to compete all year. I don't want to go do 15 shows. I don't want to have to go show after show after show. I want to go get qualified. I want to get the work done so I can focus on bringing the best package to the stage.
Competing as a pro in classic physique.
Right.
And if you place really high in one of these top tier shows, then you have the ability to potentially go to Arnold Classic, Olympia.
Invitation to Arnold, or like you said, get qualified for the O. Definitely not going back to men's physique. There's no reason.
Unleash.
Yeah, man. Why not? I don't want to be, I say small, but I always felt so lean and slim and trim, and man, now toting around 240 plus pounds, I feel amazing. Yeah. So I want to keep doing that.
You want to fight in the right weight class.
That's right, man. Fight for that thing.
All right. So, question on many people's minds is about bodybuilding and steroid use, and steroids are called gear in the world of bodybuilding. The question kind of to gear or not to gear, what's your take on using the use of steroids when it's necessary or useful, and when we should kind of steer clear?
It's kind of simple for me. It's like lion or lamb. Of course, you have to assess the risk when you start. It's a lifelong commitment. You have to accept the responsibility. You have to tell yourself, when I do this, there's no turning back. Your life will never be the same. You have to accept that. If you can accept that, then go for it. If you can't, stay natty. You want to be slim and lean and look good? Do that. You want to be a beast? Gear it up. There's no two ways around it. There's a safe way to do it. You can continue to have longevity. Just because you do gear, it doesn't mean you're going to die at 31. But you got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them too, Right. So, it's a choice. You have to be ready. You have to know the responsibilities. Do some book work. Look at the people around you. Get the right person who knows what you need and how you need and when you need to stop and when you need to start. Those things are very important. Right. There's a right way and a wrong way to do everything. Even if you're natty, there's a right and wrong way to be a natty competitor, you know? Do we always do that? No, but like you said, assess the risk and make your own calculated decision.
Right.
That's what I say.
We're in a sport that burns people's bodies out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, whether you're natty or not, like, you're putting a lot of stress on your body. You're lifting a lot of weight. You're messing with your joints, all that kind of stuff. There is a time in which your body will just say, I'm done.
Well, man, there's an endurance, like we said. That body has a shelf life. It has an expiration date. It's not going to last forever. The prep itself, even for a natty competitor, you're putting your body under an enormous amount of physical, mental, emotional stress. Emotional stress could kill you. You know what I mean? So just the amount of stress that you have to endure, each prep, your shelf life is being reduced. You need to choose how long do you want to take a stab at this thing. Do you want to be that person that's doing 5, 6, 7 shows a year? You may be the most well-known, but where are you in 10 years? Is Olympia that important? Of course, we all want to walk across that stage. Every real bodybuilder, his goal is to walk across that stage. If that's your goal, you have to know what you have to do to walk across that stage, how much stress you have to endure, how many friendships you have to lose, how many relationships you might have to lose. Who are you doing this for? You doing it for yourself, or you doing it for the well-being of someone else? There's always a greater good, always a bigger goal in mind. When you make that choice, you have to assess all of those things, and then you make the decision.
So what's that for you?
I want to financially, man, and it's not like you're going to be super well off by being a bodybuilder. But I know that, for one, I could accomplish a goal that I've always wanted to do since I was like 12 years old, and that's to win the Olympia. And I could set my daughter and my son up in a better, more financially stable way. And not just that, they can say, hey, my dad was a badass bodybuilder. That's pride. That's a lot for me.
Yeah.
If I could do that and keep a smile on their face, and one day when I'm dead and gone, a group of people can sit around a room and talk about the good I done, then I done my job.
Yeah.
That's all that matters to me.
I think anytime your kids are a part of your why, that's a lot of fun.
Absolutely. First off and foremost.
Well, a couple things. First of all, you threw out an idea. I'd love to see it come to fruition, and I want to help in any way I can. That's a bodybuilding show here in El Paso, Texas.
That's right.
Maybe 2023.
That's right.
I'd love to see that manifest. I'd love to be a part of it.
IFBB and NPC come together, get your shit together,
Let's
so we
go.
can have a
Let's
show
go.
here.
Yeah.
A big show.
Yeah.
Get these guys involved. Our bodybuilding community in El Paso is growing every year. I know a lot of really good, talented athletes here that are also pushing it to the next level. Let's get these people involved. Let's get the NPC to invest some time here in the IFBB. Let's get a show here for the people that are working their asses off. Let's have something here for us.
And I've been around to some of these gyms. Like, they're legit. Like, people can bodybuild in this place. Like,
Absolutely, man. We got potential here.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a lot of good
love
people
it.
here, man.
Yeah.
A lot of good people that train their asses off.
Speaking of good people, we got to give a shout out to Joey.
Joey, yeah.
Iron Love Life.
Iron Love Life.
He's a friend of ours. He actually put us together. He works with you.
Yeah.
I see him over at Flex Gym. He and I were talking, and I asked him about if he knows any professional bodybuilders. He mentioned you and sent a text message, and within 5 minutes we were setting up an interview here. And so, big shout out to Joey.
Big shout out to Joey.
ILL, Iron Love Life. I'll put a post about your Instagram. We'll have some couple videos there.
Got
I'll
me
also
a
shout out
custom
Joey.
2X shirt made just for the
but
occasion.
Joey created a double X shirt for him. He got me a tank.
Good guy,
He's just a good guy.
Really
Love
good guy.
Joey. That's that kind of salt of the earth, like people here in El Paso who want to see the sport grow.
Right.
And love it.
So, big shout out to everybody here in El Paso, Texas that are helping me create this dream, man.
El Paso, the new bodybuilding mecca.
That's it. Let's do it.
For more information on Patrick Martin, you can check out the show notes. There's lots of links in there, YouTube videos, things like that, to follow him on Instagram. And if you go to the premium link, you're going to find two options. You've got the Mindset Forger, a fan who wants to give back. It's $3 a month. It's a way of saying thank you so much for what we're doing here with the podcast, the interviews, what value you're getting from this stuff. It's $3 a month. It's a great way to say thanks. There's also the Platinum Forger. This is for people who want to really level up in their fitness, where you get personalized coaching from me. This is not, I send you a PDF. This is me coaching you. I'm giving you a program. We're checking in weekly. It progresses you to get you stronger, build muscle, or lose weight, whichever your goal is. Just like Patrick hired Flex Wheeler, having a coach is the way to get you to that next level. If you want to be great, you got to find people that are doing it better than you or have been doing it longer than you and reach out and get their support. So you can do that with me, $150 a month. It's the Platinum Forger membership. Let's be 1% better this week. Listen to this podcast. Think about the things that Patrick said. That's my challenge to you. And thank you for listening to the Mindset Forge podcast.